Right, good afternoon. Today is the 8th of February, 2021. Video number 2. My first video for the day. My first video for the day. So today I would love to touch on an issue. Someone asked me, Mitchell, why is it that you don't agree with how, for example, media, whether it's print, broadcasting, or whether it's print or broadcasting, or media that's also on social, when it's put out there, and why don't you agree with it? I said, look, as a person who studied media and journalism for the past 4 years, worked a year in broadcasting, I do understand that when you write a newspaper, when you take your newspaper to print, you don't just want to be reporting on negative, bad stories of probably people are dying of poverty and hunger on their farms, stock theft, poisonous plants, lightning striking cattle, what do you call this? Infestation of locusts and armyworms destroying people's fields. You don't want to sell that story because that's a story that will scare people. And sometimes the media, the agricultural narrative in media is also used for political gain. Because, for example, right now, which is now the Ministry of Agriculture and Lands, would want to tell a good story, saying that the resettlement farms we've put people on are very successful, people are doing a good job. And so they would encourage the media to write a good story. What I do not agree with is sometimes the way the media represents agriculture when they write about it, particularly in agricultural magazines. You would always read one local agricultural magazine, which is a Namibian one that I always read, is they would have an insert at the end of their magazine where they would start talking of how, for example, myself, I started farming, I quit my job working for a big IT firm, I went into farming full-time, and I became successful from it. They tell the story. And I feel like sometimes they don't tell the whole story. And this is why we have a lot of people who sit at home, watch an agricultural program, Green Horizon, whatever, read an agricultural magazine, AgriForum, Farmers Weekly, Land Bow, and think, hey man, if Mitchell is on the cover of AgriForum and he made it, why can't I also do it? And I feel like sometimes this is where, and I always say, I feel like it's more of a form of misinformation. Because they don't tell you how long it took me probably to get successful to where I was. What was the journey? How was the struggles? Financial impacts, expenses, the battles I had to fight to keep my farm active, how many times the bank wanted to foreclose my farm, how many times I had debts outstanding with people that I had to pay up and reconcile. They don't speak of that. The one I tend to enjoy is Farmers Weekly. At least Farmers Weekly thus far always tries to show an honest opinion on how the modern day agricultural landscape looks like. For example, there was an article where they were speaking of things like some of the national laws that are being made around, for example, expropriation of land, stock theft, and all these things. They try to give an honest view, telling you the truth that if you're gonna farm, if the government passes this bill and you're planning to buy a farm in 2021, this bill might affect you in the next 5 years. If stock theft is not brought under control, by the national government, if you decide to farm in 2021, you might be experiencing stock theft for the next 5 years. That is giving you well-informed information that you can sit down and go like, maybe it's not for me. Because when we're always telling feel-good stories, success stories of how I walked away from a large IT firm, went into farming, I became a millionaire after 5 years or so, you start believing that. I mean, it makes everybody feel like, if this guy can do it, why can't I do it? But they don't tell the whole story. And that has always been my problem with how the media represents agriculture when they write about it. How they only focus mostly on the successful parts of it. They don't talk about the terrible the losses, the L's, as young people would say that nowadays, the L's and the W's, the losses and the wins. They only focus on the wins. How many times you won, your bull went to the national auction, got a high price. You took your cattle went and represented Namibia, got a high price. They don't talk of how many times you have tried with your various bulls, and most of them have failed. Probably some of them ate a poisonous plant, they died. Probably some of them got bitten by a snake, they died. Some of them maybe were victims of stock theft. That happens. Some of them probably were struck by lightning. They don't speak about the L's you take. They just focus on the wins. And because people are just reading about those wins, a lot of people think most of the time, man, it's simple. I can do it. You know? I don't hear anyone today saying that, man, reading about a medical journal, medicine journal, reading about it and going like, man, I can also become a doctor. I don't hear a lot of people saying that, because a lot of people know that doing medicine is hard. Doing accounting is hard. Doing IT is hard. Doing engineering is hard. Doing mining, whatever form, or being a lawyer is hard. But a lot of people feel like farming is easy. I don't know why there is this misconception that it's an easy game. I just need to have cattle. I need to have a farm and farm workers. Then I'm good. And I feel like it's not just saying that it's easy. It is a sense of there is no proper information being given or being shared to these people to make sure that they are well aware that this is a difficult business to do. And because this is not done, a lot of people always have this misinformation and always just say, you know what, let me jump and I can do this also. And this was on the previous video I uploaded a couple of days back, where I told people, do research, go on your internet and so forth. You can learn this. You can get information and understand this business properly, and understand what are the W's, the wins and the losses that are in this business. This was when I attended an agricultural conference in 2019, when I was invited to come and speak, which was hosted by GIZ. When they asked me, okay, now, I asked them, what time am I landing? They were like, no, you're going to go on at 5. I only arrived there at 4:49. People ask me, why do I always do that? I say, no, because I don't want to listen to some dude they hired, probably a motivational speaker, or they got some success story in agriculture that is going to come and speak. They had the one gentleman who was there speaking of how successful he worked, how hard he's worked, and young people just need to work hard, stay motivated, stay hungry. And when I arrived, I caught bits and pieces of what he was talking about. I just wanted to scream, boo, get off the stage, please get off the stage. But I couldn't, because I had to be respectful. It was a high-end event. But when I got on, I said, you know, the narrative I dislike is the media narrative of telling success stories when people farm. Hearing articles of Mr. Muyunda in Zambia is the first Zambian millionaire because he's a cattle farmer. Hearing and also having people who come to conferences and come speak of young people need to work hard when they themselves never worked hard, bought their success either buying a farm that is already well established with all these implements put on the farm. Everything is there. All you have to do is move in and farm. Yet you come and stand there on the podium and you're telling me I should work hard. Me, who's farming in a communal area where I was probably given virgin land by my grandfather, which has nothing on, not even water infrastructure. I have to build these things myself. And you are coming to come tell me that I have to work hard. But but the person who's telling you to work hard paid for his success. Bought already an established farm. Maybe because he worked in a big, large parastatal, sits on 10 boards, maybe on an agricultural board, he was able to create the business context he needed for his farm to become successful, and for him to be sitting there and to be telling you need to work hard. Because he used already the influence he had just to step into agriculture, and he's making a success out of it. Now he's trying to tell a young person who might not have the influence, might not have the money, might have the passion, might have the hunger, you're telling him to work hard. But yet you paid for your success and you paid to get where you are. So that's the problem that I always have, and it's why I remember I also had a debate with an editor on an agricultural article. He was writing on agriculture a few years ago, and he wrote about this young man in South Africa and how successful this young South African cattle farmer at the age of, I think the boy was like 21, 22, was a successful cattle breeder. And his voice was being amplified. It was all over social media, newspapers, magazines, just writing about this young man. And I sat there and I said, but I called the editor and I told him, but why are you amplifying this young man's voice like that? He's like, no, the boy is an inspiration to a lot of us. Look at his age, Mitchell. You can also be that guy. I said, I can be that guy. But are we taking into account the boy's financial standings? Are we taking into account how this boy is benefiting from whatever he's benefiting? We can't always think that that young man, that 21-year-old boy, that 21-year-old young man story at that time is the same like my story. We should stop. And I told him, it's good you're writing about him to inspire a lot of young people to probably look at agriculture and say, maybe if I apply myself to this, I can actually become successful. But what you also need to do is you need to understand, firstly, the different places these people farm. You can't compare this young man who's in South Africa to a young man who's in Namibia. We face different struggles. Maybe this young man was able to get a financial grant from his government because maybe their government is trying to empower youth. But here in Namibia, it's a headache to get that grant. You know, this young man got a farm probably through one of his government programs. Here in Namibia, it's an issue for a young person to get a farm. So I told the man, look, it is good you're writing about him. It's good. But don't just focus on his successes. Write a full article on also the things he lost. When he started, how many cattle did he lose? What kept him going? This is a difficult business. I know from experience that, heck, when I started, it was not just smooth sailing. When I started, I lost 2 cows to a snake bite. Something mundane like a snake bite. Things that you don't really think about, it happened, a snake bite. When we continued in the next year, we lost another cow to birthing problems. You know, these are things that you don't think about, but they happen. Our third year of farming, we lost cattle to stock theft. Something that it is there at the back of your head, but you don't really think about. They don't really report about it in agricultural programs or agricultural agricultural magazines. They don't. And I'm saying at least Farmers Weekly, which I usually buy and read, would always report on stuff like this and amplify these things because these are problems that are there. The same, like stock theft is a big problem for livestock farmers. But theft also of your agricultural production is also a big issue in South Africa now, and I think it's also going to start being a big issue in Namibia. People are getting into millie fields and stealing maize now. People are stealing maize and potatoes. They have moved from stealing a cow to stealing the vegetable or the fruit you are planting. These are things that are there, and when you read this article, it will make you sit down and say, okay, I also want to be an apple farmer. It'll make you, after reading about it, the diseases, the pests, the theft that probably happens on the farm, how a change of weather pattern from very rainy to very dry, or from very dry to very rainy, or from very hot to very cold can affect your apple producers. Like I was watching a program on another South African program, and there are a lot of them. I feel like Namibia, we need to catch up and start creating our own agricultural programs. Another one, which is Landbou Werklik, which is on CakeNet. Another Afrikaans one, but they've added English subtitles now, where they were talking to a pineapple farmer in South Africa, in the Durban area. And this guy was talking of how successful he's been in pineapple farming. He's now gone just from being a guy who plants pineapple to a pineapple. He packages his own pineapples now. He has his own trucks and his own coolers, and he also can turn pineapples into other products like pineapple juices, pineapple syrups, and stuff, and whatever you do with pineapple, he can do it on his farm. He's established that business. And when they were walking through his pineapple fields, he was showing how beautiful the pineapples look. And then he mentioned how just a drop of weather, when you're planting pineapples, he said the pineapples need about 30 degrees Celsius weather there. But just not a drop, but a rise from 30 to 36 to 40 degrees. The pineapples become jam. In terms of when you take your finger and you press onto the pineapples, it's easily pierced and it's just pineapple juice. So that's not good for them. When he mentions that, previous to that, there was another one, a milk farmer, again in the Durban area, who was also being interviewed on the program. And he spoke how successful he's been on the milk industry, but he also spoke how difficult the milk industry is with the current laws that are there, and how local milk producers have to pay, are getting paid very cheaply for their milk products compared to the international Europeans and American milk producers. And he was also mentioning of how some some of the laws around dairy farms are really affecting them as dairy farmers. So what I mean by just highlighting those, when you hear stories like that, when you hear a farmer speaking and telling about all these challenges, it does actually sit you down and prepare you very well. And that is my issue. And I told my friend, that's my issue with most agricultural, how agriculture is reported within the media. The fact that their job is there to inform and to educate. That is their job. Not there to inform and tell half-truth stories sometimes. Where rather than telling how Mitchell bought his farm 10 years ago, 2010, 10 years ago, within that 10-year journey, he's experienced stock theft, he's experienced poisonous plants, he's experienced lightning, he's experienced predation, he's experienced snake bites of your best bull dying from a snake bite. He's experienced all of this, he's experienced all these challenges in farming that, you know, you write about that also. You write about the losses, because by people hearing these losses and understanding and probably saying, I'm buying a farm in the same area as Mitchell, so these things are there. I probably need to draw a different plan, how I'm going to try to navigate past them, rather than doing what Mitchell did and not really pay attention and lose animals. Because like I said, on a farm, when you lose one apple, when you lose one goat, when you lose one banana, when you lose one cow, there is money out of your pocket. And most of the time, you can't afford to lose anything. You try to keep everything as you can. So it's not that I have a problem with people speaking of their successes, people writing about their successes, journalists writing about agriculture. But I always say, write the whole story. Stop giving us half-truths. There's nothing wrong with me even today saying, I bought, like I mentioned before, I bought Mr. Albert Chehero's farm. I haven't bought it, but I'm just saying, for example, I buy his farm. I buy his already established Brahman stud. I buy his farm with all the developments he's done on the farm, and I come and I start being successful. Do I sit there? Do I get invited to an agricultural conference and go stand there in my suit looking dapper and saying, yes, young people work hard? Does it give me the right to go stand on a podium to say that? No, I feel like it doesn't. Because for me, it's almost like I'm being a hypocrite. I bought Mr. Albert Chehero's farm. I bought his cattle. I bought already the years of work he's done on his improving his cattle breeding program and whatever. Maybe what I did, I bought 1 or 2 new bulls that I felt could add something amazing to this. So he already established what is there. I just came in and I just added maybe one component. So I feel like it doesn't give me the right to go sit there and tell young people, work hard, 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 work hard. Stop being lazy. It doesn't give me that right, because on the end of the day, I paid for my success. I bought my success, in other words. I didn't develop it, I bought it. Yes, I'm working hard at studying and reading different journals on agriculture and trying to pick the best bloodlines, but come on. I can't go stand on a podium and tell a 25-year-old, I can't go stand on a podium and tell a 30-year-old that he needs to work hard if he wants to be successful. Yes, work hard. Yes, we do encourage people to work hard. We do. People have to work hard. But let's be honest. If you didn't work out to be successful, why are you standing on a podium, or why are you being interviewed by a television program? Why are you being interviewed by print media and you're telling people to work hard if you've never worked hard? This is why I'm also saying that the journalists, the ones who are covering the stories, the ones that are writing the stories, do further research. It is your job as the journalist. I can come tell you my Cinderella story, but it is also your job as a journalist to do the fact checking. This is why when I read articles on agriculture, I read articles that have facts, articles that don't just talk about the wins, but they talk about the losses, that make me aware that, okay, if I want to start planting garlic at my village or at my farm, these are the successes. I'm going to make money. There's a market for it. But these are the challenges that I'm going to face. Probably pH levels, temperature, rain patterns, pests and everything. That is what I want to read. I don't just want to read of how this guy quit his job, left his large, he left the large architect firm in Vundu, moved to the village, moved to the farm, and is now a successful pig farmer, or is a successful goat farmer, or a sheep farmer, or is a successful crop farmer, or a potato farmer, or a garlic farmer, or a soybean farmer. I don't want to read about how successful he is. I also want to read what challenges he faced, so I can know when I start, this man said this, okay, in this article, this was said, this was said, this was said. These are the challenges that are there. Not just the This guy Mitchell resigned from an IT firm, moved to the farm, went and started breeding beef cattle, bred milk cattle, bred beef cattle, bred milk cattle, bred pigs, bred goats, planted soybeans, and today is a successful farmer. When people read that, should I as a farmer or a person who's in the agricultural business feel ashamed or feel angry when I see young people who probably have no idea, who are just blind, or young and elder people who are blinded in the eyes by success, just wanting to get into this farming business and say, I also want to get a farm. Then he gets a resettlement farm. Then he starts his potato plantation. Then his first year of his potato plantation, blunder. Second year, blunder. Third year, blunder. And he's like, yo, maybe this is not for me. And what does he do from then? After investing, he didn't get money back from it. He loses hope, loses faith. And then we sit there, and then I sit there now as a person who's been maybe a potato farmer for the past 5 years, and I get angry and I'm like, yeah, this resettlement farm, this government, what? Sometimes not the government. It's what they write in this in newspapers, how they write about it. If they don't do a true representation of it, should I get mad? Should I be mad when I see these things happen? No. All one can do is do videos such as this, where I'm trying to educate, inform people, make sure that people understand what they're getting themselves into, rather than just picking up a newspaper, picking up a magazine, or watching a video online and jumping into this thing without actually having a clear or holistic understanding of this business. So that has been Farmer's Corner. My name is Mitchell Simata. Thank you once again to the subscribers, the viewers, and also the people that take their time to comment. I appreciate the support. Thank you very much.